scaling sustainably, there is always some friction there. It's very easy to make high volumes of sales with high discounts, but that is not a sustainable business. I think it's important to have a close understanding of the unit economics in an e-commerce business. A lot of the costs are variable costs, pick and pack, packaging, last mile, commissions for payment gateways or platforms or marketplaces. So I think it's important that you monitor your margins well and you keep a close control on your variable costs, and it's quite possible to bring those sites to profitability. Yeah, I think there is some interesting, surprising nuances on the costs of omnichannel, particularly around fulfillment from store. At a small scale, it can be very efficient. If you are using your store staff, perhaps in their downtime between peak traffic periods, to fulfill orders online, and if you're using the inventory you already have in the store that is perhaps slow moving, that could be very efficient. However, if your e-commerce begins to scale, actually the logic flips completely 180 degrees, because stores are very inefficient places to fulfill e-commerce orders from. It's probably one of the most high-rent places you can find on the planet, so it's not a good place to store stock. Salaries in stores tend to be a little bit higher than in DCs, and of course the merchandise is set out in a way to be visually appealing and attractive for customers, not to be efficient for picking and packing e-commerce orders. So I think identifying the scale at which, perhaps at a low scale, an omni-channel fulfill from store approach can be cost effective is always good, but equally recognizing when your scale has gone past that point and you need to really get an efficient DC operation up and running is equally important. So I think TikTok has been really interesting for us at JASPAL Group. It is an interesting way to reach and communicate with a younger audience, and it is also an interesting sales channel. The affiliate program, I think, is a very interesting application of an old retail and selling concept to a new technology. That for sure has been interesting for us. And I think also any technology that allows us to simplify our back-end operation, particularly around maintaining product data and inventory data onto multiple sites, is also quite attractive for us. I think with all technology solutions, the biggest challenge is on the integration with legacy software. Unfortunately, this is something you often don't discover until you're in the implementation phase. But for sure, software that has an easy plug and play approach, that has strong project management and can be interfaced easily into an existing legacy set of systems is a big winner for us. I think that's something we would always look for before adopting new technology. I think there's two elements to the question here. One is how to innovate and adopt new technologies and ideas into a large organization. JASPAL is fairly large scale, 21 brands, 470 stores, many thousands of staff. It can be very challenging to make fast technological adoption into the whole business at the same time. What we found to be more effective is to pilot new initiatives at a smaller scale, perhaps one brand or one team or one market. You can move much more quickly. If that team succeeds, of course, the other teams are jealous. They all want to adopt the same technology and the adoption can be more organic. So I would say in a big company or a big organization, piloting new ideas, new software in a small project, a small team, is much more effective than trying to roll out, across a large and complex organization. I think for branded goods, JASPAL, we are a brand building and a brand management company, and we really understand deeply about what is meant by brand value, brand positioning. It's important before you go into a new sales channel or adopt a new marketing technique that you really ask your question, does this align with the brand? So I think in the example perhaps of some marketplaces where there's a lot of discounts, we actually have observed many brands pulling out. For example, Tmall in China, I think several brands have ended up exiting because ultimately the platform doesn't match the brand positioning. So I think before you start work on a new channel, you have to really ask yourself, does your brand, or perhaps the assortment of products you're going to put onto that channel, does it fit in that environment? Does it match with the brand's DNA? If it does, of course, we go for it, but in some cases we may decide this is not the right fit for some of our brands. So I think it's important to remember that e-commerce is a channel, it's not a product in itself, certainly not for a fashion business like JASPAL Group. It can allow us to connect and to sell to more customers. But if the brand or the product is not good, is not competitive, no amount of technology will make up for that. So we will always have a very close focus on making sure we have the best products and the best maintained brands in the market. And we want to make sure that the technology we employ allows us to communicate and to reach customers efficiently and easily for them. Bad tech can get in the way, to be frank. It can create inconvenient experiences for customers. So it's certainly not the case that tech is not important, but ultimately making sure that we have the right products and well-maintained brands is always our number one priority. Particularly for e-commerce, discounting is a challenge, and of course it's very easy to grow scale with discounting, but long term it can be very damaging to brands. It's important to ensure that customers have the same experience online and offline, that there is a harmony of the pricing across all channels, and of course if you are chasing discount-driven customers online, you are altering your brand. So I think ultimately it's important that the brand comes first and your relationship with your loyal customers who connect with your brand come first, and the technology should support and aid that relationship, not alter the brand's DNA. So it's really important that the brand DNA really is reflected across all touch points with customers, online and offline. It's the store environment, the customer service, even the uniforms that the staff wear, the packaging, the type of content we produce, the channels that we use to communicate with customers. Every part of that should reflect the brand's DNA, and that's regardless of the technology. So I think for a business like JASPAL, where our core is fashion and brand management and brand development, it really runs through our whole organization to keep in mind what is the position of the brand and how do we stay true to that, in every touch point that we use. I think the two areas for technology that are most attractive is anything that makes something easier for the customer, makes the customer purchasing journey more convenient. Customers are very time short, they have a lot of choice, so if you can reduce the friction on their interaction with you, and particularly the purchasing stage, is very important. The other area that I think is always interesting is to improve our back office efficiency. Obviously we have a complicated business, we manage 21 brands, we develop thousands of new styles every year, so anything that improves the efficiency or automation of our back office is very important. Where there is technology that is not solving a problem, that doesn't really have a purpose either for the customer journey or for our back office, I would be more suspicious. If you're at a checkout and there is some technology that will allow a customer online to fill out their address more conveniently, it's very obvious what the benefit is. If you're asking a customer to do a game before they check out, it feels more a solution that doesn't have a problem. So we would use that metric or that analysis to really So I think the important thing is to understand what you want to be first in. Adopting new technology and being first in innovating is actually expensive. Usually the first wave of technology and innovation will be a little bit buggy, and there is very often a second wave that will come 1 or 2 years later as that technology proliferates. Maybe a beta version may be more efficient, it may be less buggy, it may be more cost effective. For us as a fashion business, our priority is always on products and brands. So, we are willing to invest for the core of our business around those areas. But of course, we have many other areas of the business where we may actually be happy to wait for the tried and tested, proven concept to come out maybe 1 year later at a more efficient price, and we can let other people sometimes go first.